All right, welcome to Writer's Life, place where you get the sight, sound, smells, taste of life, particular Writer's Life. And where in this corner you get Tom Shredder Schreck.
Cheers.
Cheers. I have my coffee because I just took a nap, and Tom has another type of whiskey beverage. And
all medicinal. It's all medicinal. Just left the boxing ring and
right.
Got a little bit of neck tightness, and I figured this would lubricate it.
Plus, do you really need an excuse?
Just being in the presence of the greatness of Vin Zandri, I'm a little intimidated.
Oh my God! You must have been up all night. you must have been up all night. To be honest with you guys, Tom and I could have even done this live. Tom only lives a few miles from me. Tom is Albany's other mystery writer, and I've been hearing about Tom. I was hearing about you through when I was in the Blisters, through Dave Graham, the guitarist.
Sure.
And he's like, you got to meet Tom. He's a great guy, whatever. I'm like, I'm the only mystery writer in Albany, By
the way, Blisters may be the best rock and roll band name ever.
With a Z. Z. That was like, I wanted something like the Beatles, only different, obviously, because the Beatles probably would not go down.
Better than the Blasters, right? Was it Dave Alvin and the Blasters?
The Blasters? I don't know. I don't remember.
Heard of the Blasters? Yeah. Like a rockabilly kind of thing.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Well, Schreck knows what he's talking about because he is an Elvis aficionado, and everybody knows I have 1977 Fat Elvis as one of my detective sidekicks. But Tom is an actual. All right, Tom's a boxing expert, a boxer, a boxing expert. He's also you're a professional boxing judge.
Yeah.
You'll see him on TV.
On TV, I was on TV. I did a fight from a gigantic fight from Times Square, May 2nd.
Right.
A world championship fight sponsored by the Saudis in Times Square. Beautiful. And then last Saturday, I did a women's unification world title fight from the good old Turning Stone Casino.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I'm writing. I'm now the judge columnist for BoxingScene.com, which is the leading boxing website. And I'm gonna write a book on how to judge fights. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrific, man.
Yeah.
Who did I ran into? I won't say his name, but an acquaintance of ours, and a trainer. And I said, I just had a beer with Tom Schreck. And he's just like, yeah, he made that call the other night. And he did one of these, and I'm like, all right, I'm not saying anymore because I know, everybody's got their opinion, right? Especially when it's their guy in the corner.
Vince, when I go to a Notre Dame football game and I'm in the last row of the end zone and on the opposite side of the field, I think the ref misses an offside call. I scream at the top of my lungs that he should be killed. So if somebody doesn't like my scores, I get it.
Yeah. I figured I'm like, I bet this is Tom's life. Yeah. I think I immediately segued into you should read his books. They're great. And to be honest, I'm a big fan of Duffy Dombrowski. Tom's one of Tom's main characters, and Tom, your books are. I hope my books are similar, but your books are really readable. You're not
Thank you.
Two or three pages of what did I just fucking read?
Yeah.
You read it and it's like, all right, I'm there, man. I'm totally there. And
I think your Moonlight series and my Duffy series, we should write a joint one because we
are going to do that.
They read. I'm a devotee and super fanboy of Robert B. Parker, and I'm almost feel like a little obsessive because that's what I listen to when I'm walking my 3 dogs every day. And every now and then, I say, gee, I got to read something else, and then I'll pick another very famous author, and 10 chapters in, I go back to The Promised Land from Parker's third novel, and listen to it.
I remember I was so into him when I got my first contract. Dell gave me a big box set of all his books.
No kidding.
Yeah, and they were the paperbacks.
Sure.
And I think I had read most of them at the time, but there was still like 5 or 6
Yeah.
that I hadn't read. And yeah, he was so readable.
3-page chapters, three or 4-page chapters,
Yep.
lots of white space.
Yep.
You finish a chapter and you go, I can read 2 more before I go to bed.
Yep.
And
that's what I go for myself, even, and you probably do the same.
And I don't even care about his stories. I like listening to him when he's describing how he's cooking, or how he's hitting a heavy bag, or he's in a jail cell and he's naming this top infield in baseball, or how he describes women in yoga pants.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's great. I mean, it's like, I listen to it now. I do my consumption of mysteries is often audio, and listening to him is like listening to a playlist of my favorite music. It's just like the rhythm of how it goes. And like you were saying, I'm not going to say anybody's names, but I'll Google or ask AI who's like Robert B. Parker, and then I'll try to listen or read that, and after I get a quarter of the way through, it's like, I can't do this to myself. I'm not enjoying this. There's too much description, and I don't care about the person.
Right. Absolutely. I think, but it brings up a good point, because you really like the character. You really like his. The story is almost. It's not inconsequential. I mean, you got to have a plot. You got to have some conflict going on. But that was one of the reasons why I fell in love with the Spencer character, was because I'm like, I want to be this guy. I mean, this is
exactly.
He's got his little apartment, and he's got his girlfriend, but they don't live together. He's got his dog, and
I'd go a little further than that, though. I think sometimes his plots were inconsequential. I mean, I think particularly towards the end, he phoned in a few of those, but I didn't care, because he was still talking about Hawk, or driving around or cooking or something like that. So it didn't really matter. But I do think there was a period where he kind of went, I'm supposed to do 2 of these a year, so let me bang this one out. Yet he's not without his faults. I mean, I may not be the biggest feminist going, but I don't ever think there's a woman in one of his books that isn't a total manipulative, exploitive, shallow whore, except for Susan, who's flawless.
So she kind of balances that out. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm just finishing up another Moonlight now, and like yet again, the femme fatale, is in the book, and I just can't seem to get away from that. Yeah. It just is. I don't know if it's because I've seen myself described as a traditionalist, I write in the traditional noir.
Sure.
Which, ladies and gentlemen, means like I'm old fashioned. I write like 50s style or whatever. Yeah. I'm not
Marlowe, right?
Yeah, like Philip Marlowe, exactly. Yeah. I don't mind. That's just who I am. But but we definitely have to do a Dombrowski and Moonlight hookup, or Marconi, I guess. But
wouldn't that be fun? Yeah.
One more thing about Robert B. Parker. He used to write, and it just kind of segues into Pulp Fiction a little bit, but he used to write 5 pages a day, double spaced, and that's it. No more, no less.
I heard an interview with him one time, and he was selling his whatever his current book was, and he was in Albany, and he was on the local public broadcasting channel, and the interviewer thought they were being really insightful, and they said, "No, Robert, when you pick up a Robert B. Parker book, how many drafts have you suffered through?" And he went, "When you read that, you're pretty much reading the original draft." And they said, really? And he goes, look, I got 2 kids to put through college. I don't have a lot of time, you know. And just he was, I met him at the mystery book store that was on Western Avenue, and it was just me and another guy there, and him. He came in the afternoon, and you know, I had all these.
I wish I was there. I didn't even know.
And he was like, "How's it going? You want me to sign that?" You know, he was like a little uncomfortable with this fandom thing,
right?
But yeah, you know, it's kind of dubious now with the different guys taking up the mantle and writing for him.
Right.
Some have been better than others, but
yeah.
You know.
I've never been approached. Have you ever been approached to write one of those?
No, but my good buddy Reed Coleman wrote 9 Stones, you know. They were real good. I thought Ace Atkins was real good.
Is Ace still doing it or no?
No. Mike Lupica. Mike Lupica is doing Spencer and Sonny Randall. And he might be doing Jesse Stone as well.
Oh, okay. So that's like giving up your own work to do somebody else's. Huh. Interesting. Because that sounds like more than a full-time job.
I think he has the same agent as the Parker estate.
That's probably how it works. Yeah, I can see that. One draft, 5 pages a day. Tom is a part of our True Pulp anthology, which is coming out in August. I think we are the first. Anyway, I'm going to say that we are, and I'm going to claim that we are anyway. The first Pulp anthology that is not only, you know, we're not only going to receive royalties, obviously, for copies we sell in all sorts of formats, but we have a Kickstarter. It's backed by a Kickstarter, and we're almost at 200%. 200% supported. So we've almost doubled our initial goal. And we got like 30 days to go, less than that. Or no, more than that. I think we've only been at it like a week. And we doubled it. And so everybody's going to get a check up front.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think this is the wave of the future, to be honest. So I'm thinking about doing a Kickstarter for Moonlight, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Chase Baker or something like that. But
getting checks for writing, that's interesting.
Yeah, how about that?
How does that work?
Concept. Wow. God. Tom and I used to be published by Thomas and Mercer too. We were getting paychecks then.
Yeah.
Big paychecks.
Yeah, that was fun. That was and meetings with publicists and strategies and marketing strategies and placement and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was wonderful because for anybody who doesn't believe that the Amazon imprints don't sort of like, you know, push your book to the top, then, you know, take another sip. But they do, and that's why everybody wants to do at least 1 or 2 books with them, you know, like, because almost a guarantee.
They made my first release with them a deal of the day, and I went to #1.
Yeah.
In Hard-Boiled Mysteries. For about 36 hours. And
so what? It's like,
and I was like the number 18 mystery writer in their algorithm. You know, it went like Harlan Coben, Tom Schreck, James Lee Burke. And it was like,
there you go.
Which one of these things don't belong here?
Well, I don't know. I think you do.
Yeah, well,
you know, and that's why we're proud to have you be a part of this thing, man.
I'm thrilled to be asked.
So, like, okay, Pulp Fiction. We love Pulp Fiction. I don't need to ask you like what it means to you because I know what it means to you. What is your like? How are you? When do you write fiction? In the morning? Because Tom is also a professional journalist, and he even has a full-time gig as a communications director for a school. Like, there's nothing. I don't know when you have time to sleep personally, but
I'm a believer, and I write, if not the first thing in the morning, after walking the dogs and after cleaning the house or whatever. If I don't get to writing soon, it won't happen. It just I get foggy or I get filled with excuses. And like everybody else, I I'm thinking I don't want to do this. Don't want to do this. And then when I get started with it, I love it. And then when I'm done for the day, I love it even more. But like Robert B. Parker, 3 page. If I get 3 or 4 pages a day, in 2.5 months, I got a book. I got a draft for a book. And I think with the way things are going with digital books and fans of mysteries, they don't want a 500-page book. Nope. They don't even want a 300-page book anymore. You get 200 pages, and it's a weekend read, and you stay in your series, and I think that's what fans like.
Yeah. Speaking of
By the way,
this,
Vince, is my dog driving you crazy, barking?
I didn't even notice him.
Okay, good.
I mean, I can hear him, but I'm a guy who loves dogs more than people, so
I love him except when he won't shut up. But that's okay.
He's welcome to join us. You can show him to us. But he's huge.
His legs are only this long, so I'd have to lift him up.
All right. Well, so his legs are just a little bit longer than mine.
I thought you were going to say something else, but that's fine.
Nope. Family show, Tom Schreck. Family show. All you kiddies out there, don't listen to this guy. He's just getting drunk on the airwaves.
What was the famous children's show? You ever seen that blooper? There was like some morning children's show, and like the announcer gets done, and he thinks he's off the air, and he says, "That ought to hold the little bastards for a while."
Oh yeah. Geez, you're really bringing that back. It was like Mr. Green Jeans or something.
It was something like that. Ralph Vardigan or
Yeah, those little. Yeah, he said that's exactly the quote. Those little bastards.
That one. And have you ever heard the reel of when Casey Kasem goes off on his assistant? So
No.
he's reading a long distance dedication about a suicide or something.
This is real?
Yeah. And he screws up the line. And Jesus fucking Christ. I'm trying to, that is freaking kid's dead. And you can't get the line right. And he goes off on his. Look it up on YouTube. Casey Kasem.
No, all I remember is what's his name? We'll do it live. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Oh, yeah, who's that?
It's the news again. The reporter. Oh, come on.
The Fox.
He was on Fox.
Yeah. Bill
O'Reilly.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck it, we'll do it live.
That's right.
Sick of this shit. We'll do it live. And he still says to this day, he'll be walking through an airport and someone will be like, fuck it, we'll do it live. He just goes like, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
He says he's most famous for that.
Well, getting back somewhat on topic, Pulp. Some people refer to Pulp derisively, and when I think of it, I think of John D. McDonald and the sleazy covers of the 1965 chicks in bikinis, and brilliant writing, 175 pages, and Travis McGee, is always screwing the ingenue back to good mental health before he lets her go. And the bad guys and the social commentary, and I'm a nostalgia guy anyways, but I love reading what was okay in 1966 or 1967, and the martinis and drinks and the inappropriate language and the objectification of stuff,
I honestly believe that it's the true, and I'm not the one who said this. I don't know who said it, but I believe it. I think Pulp Fiction, noir, not noir as much because that has its roots probably more in like Europe, but hard-boiled fiction, Pulp Fiction, is like the true organic American literature.
Sure.
I really do. And
no apologies for that either.
No apologies whatsoever. I think it was Jim Crumley who said, who's another great influence of mine, right? Sure. Even though he wrote like 5 books, maybe 7 or 8, but poor guy died indigent. Like they had to chip in for his funeral. You know, this is a tough business, children. Don't do it like I did it. I had to be a purist. Write on this, get a good job, and then be a divorce lawyer and write at night. You know,
try to get a ghostwriting job for Taylor Swift.
There you go, something like that, or for a politician. But he said, he's like, I believe that my books stand up there with great American literature. Thank you very much. Yeah. And I believe I write the shit out of mine too. I believe that they're as good as any other. I think, in fact, they're better because I read, some of the literary stuff that's out there it just bores me to death. It's just nothing happens.
What was it? Was it Count Basie? They asked Count Basie, I think it was, how can you tell good music? And he said, if it sounds good, it is good. So if you like to read something, then it's good.
There you
go. If you don't like to read it, then it's not good.
What's wrong with entertaining? I think I was in writing school and we were at it like a social gathering, right? They'd have like these like bar nights and stuff like that. And I happened to, there was a sudden lull at like that 20-minute after thing. And I'm like, I want to entertain readers. And they were like,
yeah. Oh, what are you thinking?
Wow. No, you're supposed to publish one book every 3 years. Yeah. And it's only supposed to sell 500 copies and to the students you're teaching.
Right.
And then it should be, up for awards, of course. But,
and you should be nothing but cynical and angry and resentful of everybody else who sells books. And I love it when people complain or are derisive about Grisham or Dan Brown. And they talk, what a hack. Okay, fine.
Yeah. The hack who has a beautiful house on Long Island Sound, and
I wish I could be a hack and write the Da Vinci Code.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, he is the only author whom I've recognized in the Vatican, not the Vatican bookstore, but the Uffizi Gallery bookstore.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's like the only thriller writer you're going to find there.
Hey,
and I'm sure he's in the Vatican bookstore too, I'm sure.
I'm writing a religious themed book. I just started it last week. So I wanted to write a mystery that takes place on the Notre Dame campus. And I went to Notre Dame.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And so I wanted it to be, I didn't want it to be just a goofy football mystery or something like that, but it takes place the eve of the Notre Dame Georgia game. Awesome. And what people don't realize, and this is kind of geeky, but in the last 5 years, I've become a little bit of a Civil War buff. And
nothing wrong with that.
General Sherman marched, of course, through the South and burned everything down.
Right.
Most famously, the city of Atlanta.
Yep.
What people don't know is his family lived on the campus of Notre Dame during that period. And
You're kidding.
He was the 1865 commencement speaker at the University of Notre Dame.
You're
University of Georgia was built by slave labor.
Uh-huh.
They didn't integrate as a university until 1961. I don't think they had a black player on their football team until 1970. And Notre Dame had 40 priests who were Civil War chaplains, and the university president had come out against the Civil War very early. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we do kind of a little bit of a Da Vinci Code murder on the eve of the Notre Dame Georgia game?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and hearken it back to the commencement speech and Sherman and the anger and all that. Plus, I hate Georgia. I hate the University of Georgia. So
that's great.
Screw them.
All right, so I already know who the antagonist is going to be in general.
Well, there's a twist. There's a twist.
Okay. You don't have to tell us.
As you think. No spoilers.
Awesome.
Still have to write the freaking thing too. I'm, as of this morning, 16 pages in. So all
right. Is this a series? Is this a standalone or is it a double?
It was going to be a standalone, and then I realized my book redeeming trace. That character is a Notre Dame graduate and Notre Dame psychologist, so I put him in there. But it's going to be on the campus of Notre Dame, and for domers, as we call Notre Dame people, it's every landmark is on campus and all the inside. So if you're like a graduate, you go, oh, I remember that and all that,
Right.
So
you got to have a chase scene on top of the dome.
Well, there's something like that. Be careful of the Virgin Mary.
I just fucked Tom because now he's not going to get that out of his head, and he's going to be like that son of a bitch because he's damn right. I do.
Well, there's things like
it's got to be a Hitchcockian scene, right? Hitchcockian scene, like on top of the dome.
Like when I was at school there, one of the things that was legendary is that there's supposedly steam tunnels that run throughout underneath the campus.
Oh, perfect.
Guys would get drunk and somehow get into the steam tunnels, and there's miles and miles. I never did it, but wouldn't that, if you're a graduate and you heard about that, there's got to be a chase scene in the steam tunnels. And
right. You know what? You're going to sell 1 million of these because everybody on campus is going to want to read this.
There's 88,000 people who go to 7 football games a year and spend $500 for a ticket. So
right. You might as well just like set up a house in Indiana when this is published.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah,
it's a good idea. I went to Providence. I think I read a Providence novel.
Well, you know what I was thinking is I'll do a book a year. And it'll always be on the eve of a big football game, and I'll make the villain Michigan, Alabama, Southern Cal, and it's a good way for me to get all my anger out against these schools that I hate. So.
Excellent. At the very least, plus with your sports ties, you should get some excellent press on this, dude.
We'll see. All this money, all this money coming in, Vince. I don't know how to allocate it.
I know, isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy the money we make?
There's all the tax implications of zillions of dollars.
I don't. To be honest, my team of accountants takes care of that. I don't even.
There you go.
I don't even. Wait. My one of my assistants is what is it, honey? Yes, you don't look fat in that dress. You look great. I'm busy with Tom right now.
Vince,
yes.
Have your girl call my girl, and we'll do it.
I will. Well, her evaluation is later, so her monthly evaluation. So we're gonna be a little busy with that, if you know what I mean. A little later. All right. So we know what Tom's doing next. So fantastic. And
I'm doing that and working on the boxing book. I'm gonna have a nonfiction how to score fights, and then people can write in and say it's funny. I write this column. I write this column on how to score fights, and I look to see what the comments are. And it doesn't matter what the topic is. It's, what are you talking about? You guys are all corrupt. You just get a payment and then you score it for that guy. It's it doesn't vary, and they're not kidding.
No, they're not kidding.
Last week I was at was the induction of the Boxing Hall of Fame, and I was on a panel on judges, and they had to pass the mic around the audience, and one guy gets up and says, "Hey, where are all your seeing eye dogs?" and the most consistent question people would ask was, "How come boxing's so corrupt?"
Right.
They're asking guys who paid to judge. Well, it's like. Right. I said to him, to this day, 30 years in, no one has approached me with a brown paper bag. Said, son, it's not your night,
If you don't steal that seeing eye dog line, I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's actually a brilliant line. All right, well, with that, we're gonna let Tom go, and because you clearly have a lot to do.
Gunner, the Basset Hound, if he hasn't already, is about to take a dump in the back room if I don't let him out. Or if it's gonna be Gunner's speed,
you got me crying.
I will go to the back door, have my hand on the knob, and he'll take a dump in front of me instead of.
How does he take a dump with those short legs?
It kind of rounds. And then you count down from 7, 7, 6, 5. And you hope at his age, he's like 13. He's like, he's 2 years past expiration date. And they told me, he has a marker for low protein.
Right.
What does that mean? He's like, well, you got to keep your eye on it. So I don't know. He's fine. Every now and then he has diarrhea. So do I.
Yeah.
So he'll do a squishy, poo, and the next 72 hours I can't sleep. So, oh, God. Meanwhile, I haven't taken a firm dump in 20 years. So
well, with that, ladies and
was
gentlemen,
this what you were looking for? With the
it was. This has been the best. This has been the best podcast. I've yet to have a podcast where I can't control my laughter or my tears and shit. If this doesn't give you an idea of how good Tom's books are, then you're really retarded. All right, Tom. I will talk to you soon, and let's meet up for a beer this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's meet up. And thanks for doing this, and I will talk to you extremely soon. Everybody else, ciao, ciao.
All right. See you. Thanks, brother.